Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fourth meeting of the World Radiocommunication Advisory Committee meeting here. And to get started, we have some opening remarks. And Chairman Carr, I welcome you to the podium here. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me today to this group. I appreciate the chance to have some equal time and equal opportunity to visit with you all. At first, I thought about not showing up, claiming that I was censored by the FCC and trying to drive more attention to this event. But thanks for making the equal time available to me. I appreciate it. It's good to see you all. In all seriousness, thank you so much to each and every one of you for your service representing the United States on the WAC. It's a meaningful professional commitment. I always say this, but each of you individually all have a very important day job. Most of you do, at least. I think there might be some exceptions, but we won't call you out. And you're taking this on top of your day job, and I really appreciate everything that you all are doing here. And so thank you again so much for your leadership and your work here. When we look at all of these World Radio Conferences, obviously every single one of them matters. Every single one of them matters for our global leadership on connectivity, national security issues, economic issues. But I really believe that this next one is going to be especially critical for the country and for so many U.S. industries. Here at home, the FCC is showing the world how to move quickly on spectrum decisions that spur innovation, investment, and expand connectivity. We're executing on a very deep and new spectrum pipeline, both on the satellite side and on the wireless front as well. We're cutting red tape and modernizing our licensing processes. We're working to make it easier to introduce new direct-to-cell technologies and other services in spectrum bands so that we can create win-wins for American consumers. Now, with World Radio Conference 27, Work 27 around the corner, it's time to go global with the successes that we're having in this country. I want America to be the net exporter of good spectrum policy the world over. In doing so, we can't apologize for promoting America's interests and those of America's businesses. The roster on this advisory committee is large and diverse, but we are all part of the same team. We must steer in that same direction. To succeed at Work 27, we'll need to play the right combination of offense and defense. We must work together to allow America's innovators to compete and win on the global stage. At the same time, we can't let those with hostile agendas frustrate U.S. leadership. Some countries target our companies through one-sided regulations. They often go into the euphemisms like space sovereignty. Other countries prop up national champions through subsidies, government investments in sweetheart contracts. And yet others are simply interested in furthering their repressive goals and denying their own citizens access to information. And when we look forward to the World Radio Conference, it's safe to assume that a lot of the discussions are going to center around satellite and space issues. These include more spectrum for LEO constellations, more flexibility for direct-to-cell offerings, and new rules for emerging lunar communication offerings. Traditional wireless issues will remain just as important as ever as well. Work 27 will consider spectrum bands identified in President Trump's Working Families and Tax Cut Act for 5G and 6G mobile. And we're also confident that this group is going to move fast in preparing for work itself. And fortunately, we have two great industry leaders, George John and Kim Baum, who've agreed to lead this committee in the effort. They're going to be delivering on several goals, including developing strong proposals for the United States that reflect different perspectives among everybody in the room here today. Satellite, wireless, unlicensed, equipment manufacturers, cable, and much more. I'm confident that they're going to succeed. I know that this entire team will secure outcomes at work that will continue to position this country and our businesses at the forefront of the global economy. I want to thank everybody again for your agreement to serve in this capacity. I can't wait to see you all in action. There is no time to lose, and you will get right to it, and I will help that by stopping this filibuster and allowing you guys to get on the actual work of the committee. But again, thank you so much for your time and your commitment. You guys are going to deliver some great wins for the country, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. We hear you loud and clear on innovation, efficiency, and maintaining U.S. leadership, and have a clear mandate there. And for those of you that don't know me, I am George John. Public notice yesterday was a bit misleading. I do represent satellite interests, but I do help other terrestrial wireless as well as unlicensed interests. And to Chair's point, we are going to bring balance, but winning proposals to the WRC. And to help us with that is our awesome Vice Chair, Kim Baum. If you want to introduce yourself very briefly.
Okay, thank you, George. I'm very honored to be here and really looking forward to advancing the U.S. interest at the next conference. And I'm really excited to work with George in doing that. So I really appreciate the faith that the Commission's put in me, and looking forward to making it a successful WRC for all of us. Thank you.
Very good. So now that we have a clear mandate, let's get started with the meeting. If we could present document number WAC 27-034. That is the agenda for today. Are there any comments or questions for this agenda? Okay. Seeing no feedback, the agenda is approved for today. Next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from our third WAC meeting. That is document WAC 27-035. If that could be presented on the screen. Are there any comments or questions regarding the minutes from our last meeting? And if you could just scroll through it, because there are a few pages there. Okay. Any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, document 35 is approved. Moving to the next agenda item, WRC 27 Advisory Committee structure. Could open WAC 27/36. This document just outlines the chair, vice chair, as well as the various informal working groups and the current chairs and vice chairs there. While Alan is scrolling, are there any questions, comments? Up. There's a microphone in the back. Could you introduce yourself and your affiliation, please?
Sure. Good morning, all. Andrew Roy from Aviation Spectrum Resources, the primary member. No comment on the document as written, and I'm not sure this fits here, but just at somewhere. I would like to ask the Commission staff in future if we could have a few more days with the documents published on ECFS before the meeting. There's a lot going on right now. There was a minor deadline for reply comments yesterday some of us were involved in, other activities as well. But it would be good to have a couple of extra days, if possible, in future when material is published for the WAC and then the WAC meeting after that, so we have a bit more time to consider it as well. Particularly with the IWG meetings happening through Working Party 5D, we couldn't attend all of them. It is a struggle, so we would appreciate, if possible, next time to have a few more days to consider them. Thank you.
Thank you. Hear you loud and clear. We will definitely try to get it out a few days early and apologize. In addition to the various deadlines, the WAC was being rechartered, members were being approved, and so a lot of admin work going on behind the scenes, but noted, and we will do so going forward. Seeing no other comments, we can move past document 36. And next up on our agenda is an update from our colleagues over at NTIA, and I believe Dr. Brian Patton is online. And Brian, if you want to give a status report on the RCS process as well as the various agenda items that have now RCS proposals, please proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks. I seem to have a really bad echo, so I'll just start talking. All right, status report. As you probably know, for those of you that participate in the WAC and the IWGs, since the last meeting of CETEL PCC2 in Salvador, Brazil, the RCS has pivoted away from preliminary views, and we've turned our attention to proposals. So for this meeting of the WAC, we are very pleased to have gotten to you, and we apologize about the level of effort to get these to you. We are pleased to present to you a total of 6 proposals over 2 documents, WAC 2748 and WAC 2749. So NTIA, on behalf of the executive branch agencies, has provided you with proposals on agenda items 1.2 on smaller antenna sizes for FSS uplinks at 14 gigahertz, 1.9 on Appendix 26 aeronautical HF modernization, 1.10 on Article 21 PFD and EIRP limits for FSS, MSS, and BSS at 70 and 80 gigahertz, 1.11 on MSS space-to-space links, and 1.15 on lunar communications. In the second document, which is WAC document 49 before us today, we give you an additional proposal. I'll let you have a second to put that up. We present to you an additional proposal on agenda item 1.7 on terrestrial midband IMT, and this one focuses on the 7 gigahertz band. So, Chair, we look forward to working with you and our colleagues at the FCC in putting these proposals together with the proposals that are coming out of the WAC IWGs. And I hope we will be able to reconcile those proposals and have contributions to the next meeting of CETEL PCC2. And with that, I turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. So we appreciate these documents being sent over. I'm hoping in the future they could be sent over a little earlier so we have time to actually review and try to start reconciling them in the our own WAC process, but I understand the limitations for this particular cycle. That said, these documents are fresh. I think they were just received by our team here yesterday. And so Greg did post it on the FCC ECFS website. They may or may not be posted this morning officially. And so I don't think it makes sense right now to go through each of the documents and see comments or questions, but I welcome each of you to review them carefully once the public notice is released and provide input and hopefully ways where we can meaningfully reconcile the documents and have a consolidated proposal or preliminary views submitted to the next CETEL meeting. Do you have something to add? Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, George. Just to highlight for everybody, we received it late. It was I posted on ECFS this morning. This is just for the meeting's awareness, but we plan to put this out for public comment. So we will have, after the meeting, we will release a public notice, and we will ask for comment on the RCS proposals. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move to the meat of our particular meeting today, and we will have each of the informal working groups provide a brief status update on how the meeting's progressed and the different documents that they have, either consensus or non-consensus, and we can seek any comments, feedback, and hopefully pass these along for the official publication and the public notice comment period that Greg just mentioned. And so I'll pass it off to Vice Chair Kim Baum. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, George. So first, we have IWG-1 dealing with maritime, aeronautical, and radar services. And I'd like to invite the vice chair of that group, Nick Shroud, up to give us a status report and identify any documents that require approval. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the vice chair for IWG-1, Nicholas Shrout, and IWG-1 met for 2 of its 4 meetings. We received no input contributions for the IWG, so we do not have anything to provide to the WAC at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any comments that anyone would like to make about the work of IWG-1? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to IWG-2, and we have the chair, Dadaline Meme, here to present a document on agenda item 1.7.
Hi, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dadaline Mame, chair of IWG-2. We met 4 times and received 3 draft proposals for agenda item 1.7, focused on identification of the 7-8 gigahertz band for IMT. Ultimately, members were not able to come to agreement on a consensus proposal, and all 3 proposals are offered for consideration as views A, B, and C on a non-consensus basis in document 37. View A supports IMT identification in the 7.125 to 7.45 gigahertz band, or portions thereof, citing strong technical justification based on rigorous ITR studies and past U.S. advocacy for technologies beyond domestic decisions for international harmonization, and notes that the 50 megahertz extension promotes regional and global harmonization for the U.S. to maintain technological competitiveness and leadership in 6G development. View B proposes deferment on a decision regarding the 7.125 to 7.4 gigahertz band, pending domestic and international studies, and no change for the 7.4 to 7.45 and 7.45 to 8.4 gigahertz band, citing incumbent operations and the need to preserve regulatory certainty, continued investment, and operational stability. View C supports IMT identification in the 7.125 to 8.4 gigahertz band, or portions thereof, indicating such action best enables international harmonization and global proliferation of 6G deployment, providing opportunities that can support the U.S. to lead in 6G using trusted vendors while preserving the U.S. authority to retain a federal allocation above 7.4 gigahertz. With this description, I present document 37 for consideration and approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dadaline. Before we move to approval of this document, do we have any members that would like to make comments or express any particular views on this document? Okay, yes, please. Okay, so just to repeat, we'll be adding ASRI, is that correct, to view B? Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? Yes, please. And let's be sure the mic is on.
We could just use this one.
Morning, I'm Jason Kim, representing Umbra. We're a American space technology company that operates a constellation of synthetic aperture radar satellites. We use the X-band to downlink our high-resolution remote sensing information and provide that to our customers, critical customers in the national security community, as well as commercial customers. So we support the continuation or the no change proposal in view B for the 7.4 to 8.4 gigahertz band to protect the EESS allocation. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So we'll add your company name, Umbra, to that view B proposal as well. Are there any other remarks? Yes, please, Danielle.
Hi, Can everyone hear me? Danielle Piñeres from Planet Labs. We are a co-author of the document, and just wanted to mention we also support specifically the no change proposal in the upper portion of the spectrum, specifically in light of the use of X-band spectrum for remote sensing downlinks, which is an incredibly important band for us. I also just wanted to raise that, in our view, a no-change proposal for that portion is particularly appropriate given alignment with U.S. domestic policy priorities, which, as of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, has sort of carved out that portion of the band from consideration for auction at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. Any other comments? Okay.
First, congratulations to you for the chairmanship, the vice chairmanship. We're in good hands, and I'm looking really forward to working with the WAC. Michael Mullenix from CTIA. I also wanted to thank the Commission for their ongoing commitment to engaging private sector stakeholders towards successful outcomes at WRC 27. An inclusive and coordinated domestic process is essential to advancing U.S. leadership internationally. America's continued leadership in 5G and next-generation wireless depends on our ability to achieve global scale of secure, trusted technologies. Harmonized spectrum decisions drive investment, lower costs, strengthen U.S. competitiveness, all themes that we heard this morning from the chairman. Both home and abroad, this is important, and CTIA strongly supports the vision of sustained U.S. wireless leadership, and the industry is committed to advancing it. Adoption of the proposal would bring the position the United States as the first country to take concrete steps towards enabling advanced wireless operations in the 7 and 8 gigahertz range, establishing a global benchmark for next generation spectrum policy. The 7 and 8 gigahertz range is part of a broader mid-band spectrum pipeline, long identified as well suited for high capacity commercial wireless services. Its technical characteristics make it particularly valuable to supporting dense 5G deployments and future innovation. This proposal, which aligns with the proposal from the federal agencies, rests on technical evidence, not politics. More than 50 international sharing studies conducted at the ITU, including contributions from both U.S. federal interests and industry stakeholders, demonstrate that the introduction of advanced wireless operations can be feasible with appropriate coordination mechanisms. To maximize the economic and strategic opportunity presented by these bands, the United States must approach WRC 27 with a unified domestic position. Doing so will strengthen our ability to shape the global outcome and reinforce U.S. leadership in wireless, AI-enabled networks, and other emerging technologies. We look forward to working closely with the Commission and our federal partners to seize this generational opportunity and ensure the U.S. spectrum policy remains aligned with our allies and partners. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And if another party, ASPA, to take the floor.
Thank you. Aspa Perutzis from Qualcomm. The 7 and 8 gigahertz band has emerged as the cornerstone for the future 6G wireless networks, offering a rare combination of wide contiguous bandwidth and global harmonization potential needed to unlock new levels of capacity, performance, and innovation. It is imperative that the U.S. position clearly underscores American leadership in wireless technologies and its strategic insight into where global wireless markets are headed. As an economic and technological superpower, the United States should articulate a forward-looking position informed by U.S. interests worldwide, not one constrained solely by current domestic spectrum allocations. Companies like Qualcomm exemplify American innovation by driving foundational technologies that scale globally, reinforcing why U.S. leadership matters beyond its borders. It is hoped that the U.S. position on 7-8 gigahertz will reflect this ambition and vision, signaling confidence in America's role in shaping the future of global wireless communications. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ASPA. Are there any other members that would like to make a remark or a comment for inclusion in the minutes? Okay, seeing none, I think we've had a fulsome discussion of this issue in IWG-2 and now heard many views here. So I think it's time to ask approval to send this document, document 37, to the FCC as a collection of, the views of industry for the Commission's consideration. Do we have approval to do that? Okay, seeing no objections, we will send this to the FCC. Thank you, Dodeline, for bringing that to us. So, yes, please.
Just one thing to add, what Mike said, the NTIA proposal does exist, covers the entire band, and it's document 49. So make sure you look at that when the public notice period and the comment period, so we can try to reconcile these early and actually have a proposal for this upcoming CTEL meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, George. Then we're going to move on to IWG-3 and look at issues before the fixed satellite service. And so here we have our chair, Alex Epstein, joining us remotely. So Alex, let's see if we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear. Please proceed
Great,
with your
thank you
report. Yep.
Great, thank you very much, Kim. Before I begin, I just want to note that on the Teams platform, I did see a couple of raised hands on the previous IWG report, so I'm not sure if you wanted to address those first. So maybe I'll pause before that.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Yes. And Alan, could you ask for folks that have their hand raised to speak?
Yes, we have Chris from Broadcom.
Okay, Chris, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I was looking at this last agenda item, so I don't know if there's still an opportunity to speak for the minutes. But Christopher Szymanski, I handle technology strategy for Broadcom, and thank you very much for allowing me to participate in this group. I look forward to contributing. I'm also chairman of the board of the Dynamic Spectrum Alliance and vice chairman of the board for the Wi-Fi Alliance. Just wanted to explain the other affiliations. I just wanted to speak. Broadcom is in favor of View B. We have a materially significant amount of experience with short-ranged wireless in that frequency band, and we continue to believe that the applications and uses of the band currently need the spectrum to flourish, and we have some concerns about an IMT identification in those bands, as it would end up snuffing out those current applications and uses. And we think that it's likely the wrong spectrum for the emerging use cases as we start looking at the need for more uplink heavy traffic. So just wanted to introduce myself and voice our opinion with respect to the agenda item that was in Working Group 2. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris. That will also be reflected in the minutes. And then is there anyone else with their hand raised, Alan? It looks like Marissa Velez from Verizon would like the floor. Marissa, please proceed.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Marissa Velez from Verizon. Just wanted to briefly express support for views A and C in connection with the items previously discussed. In particular, moving forward in the proposal with those frequency bands identified in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marissa. Your comments will also be reflected in the minutes. Okay, so I think that concludes folks with their hands raised with respect to document 37 and our last agenda item. So Alex, thank you for flagging that. And now we're ready to move on to IWG-3 and your report and documents.
Great, thank you very much, Kim, and congratulations to you, yourself, and George. My apologies for not being able to be present physically with all of you today, but I am happy to present the report for IWG-3. IWG-3 met 4 times during this period. We considered 4 draft preliminary proposals on WRC 27 Agenda Item 1.2, WRC 27 Agenda Item 1.3, WRC 27 Agenda Item 1.4, and WRC 27 Agenda Item 1.5. The preliminary proposals on Agenda Item 1.2, 1.3, and 1.5 were approved on a consensus basis, and the preliminary proposal on Agenda Item 1.4 was approved on the non-consensus basis. So I can go on with document introductions unless there are any other comments, general comments.
Okay, Alex, no one is raising their hand, so let's go on to seek approval of document 38.
Great, thank you very much. So document 38 is the preliminary proposal for WRC 27 Agenda Item 1.2. This document presents the United States proposal on this agenda item, which addresses revisions of sharing conditions in the frequency band 13.75 to 14 to allow use of FSS earth stations with smaller antenna size. The proposed regulatory framework includes modifications to Article 5 allocations, particularly footnote 5.502, to allow antenna diameters smaller than 1.2 meter for geostationary and 4.5 meters for non-geostationary. To ensure protection of the radio allocation service, the proposal introduces a separation distance currently marked X TBD from the respective border of neighboring countries. So comments that we received by the authors of this proposals indicated that while there is the sharing conditions of the protection distance are still marked X, it was encouraged that the United States should decide on a direction for this agenda item and submit this proposal for ongoing studies. Thank you very much. So I present this document for consideration.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Are there any comments on document 38, or can we move to approve it and send it to the FCC for their consideration? Okay. Are there any comments online?
Chris.
Okay, and I think, Chris, it's probably a legacy hand. Okay, I think it is a legacy hand. So seeing no comments, we'll consider document 38 as approved by the WAC. Okay, Alex, your next document, 39 on agenda item 1.3, could you please present that?
Thank you. This document presents the United States draft proposal for WRC 27 agenda item 1.3, which addresses expanding access to the 51.4 to 52.4 gigahertz frequency band for non-geostationary satellite orbit Earth stations. Building on the framework established at WRC 19 for GSO gateway applications, this proposal enables critical uplink spectrum for next generation NGSO systems. The proposed regulatory framework includes modifications to Article 5 allocations, in addition to limits and associated methodologies to enable sharing between GSO and NGSO gateways in this band. The framework is aligned with the current framework for the rest of the QV band, known as Resolution 770, and then all other aspects of the proposal except for the part related to compatibility with EESS passive due to ongoing studies at the ITUR. Still, due to the importance of aspects of this proposal, namely sharing with GSO FSS, the authors of this document believe that this proposal is timely to move forward, and then the rest of the figures of sharing with EESS will be filled in once the sharing studies are complete. So with that, I present this document for your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So with that explanation, can we approve document 39 to go as a proposal from the WAC to the FCC? Okay, I see no comments. And it looks like no hands online, so document 39 is approved. So Alex, your next document, document 40 on agenda item 1.4.
Thank you. This document presents the United States draft proposal for WRC agenda item 1.4, which considers a new possible primary allocation to the FSS in the frequency band 17.3 to 17.7 in Region 3. These frequency bands are allocated to the FSS in Region 1 and were allocated in Region 2 at WRC 23. While the agenda item is focused on a Region 3 proposal, the authors of the document believe it is important for the United States to take a position for global harmonization on the use of this band for U.S. satellite systems, as well as some proposals being seen internationally that may impact the Region 2 use of these bands. So the proposed regulatory framework here modifies Table 22-1B of Article 22 to provide those provisions worldwide in the 17.3 to 17.7 gigahertz band, and proposes modifications to Article 7 to extend the provisions of Article 9 and 11 for those frequency bands in all three regions. This document was non-consensus, leaving my group the issues here. So while the authors of this document initially included modifications to Resolution 76 as part of this proposals, subsequent revisions of this document deleted those revisions to Resolution 76. The authors of the document explained that edits to and modifications to Resolution 76 were out of scope of this agenda item and the associated resolution, and they felt that it would be inappropriate for Region 2 to expand the scope of a Region 3 agenda item. Additionally, the authors explained that when this agenda item or this frequency allocation was originally made by Region 2 at WRC 23, there was no addition for expanding Resolution 76. So for those two reasons, they believed that it was not proper to include Resolution 76 edits into this proposal. SES, during the final meeting, expressed concern on the deletion of the Resolution 76 aspects of this proposal, and given the explanations provided by the authors, they continue to wish that those aspects should be deleted. So this document is presented on a non-consensus basis based on those reasons. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So on document 40, as Alex mentioned, the document comes to us as non-consensus. Are there any comments that folks would like to make as we seek approval? Is it possible to send this document as consensus, or there's still outstanding concerns? Okay, so Giselle from SES.
Thanks, Dante. Well, thanks. Yeah, I think the question is, I mean, the only part that we don't agree with is the non-inclusion of the Resolution 76. We think in the Working Party 4A meetings, it's been clear that that was an oversight at Work 23, and the methods that are, the CPM methods include the modification to Resolution 76 to add the 17.7 to the band to that resolution. So we think that that would be a more wholesome proposal from the United States. So I think that's why we are concerned with that. So at this stage, I don't think we can agree to have it not included in the U.S. proposal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Giselle, for explaining your view. And are there any other comments, anything else that another party would like to add to the discussion? Okay, so I'm going to propose that we send the document forward, noting that it's non-consensus, and will reflect clearly, Giselle, the remarks that you made in the minutes. And, you know, the commission will certainly, you know, it'll be part of seeking comment in the public notice period. So it'll be clear, like, the remaining concerns that you have. But with that, we'll send this document as non-consensus to the commission, like noting your concerns on behalf of SES. Okay, so then we turn to agenda item 1.5, Alex, and document 41. Could you present that document to the group?
Thank you, Kim. This document presents the United States draft proposal for WRC 27 agenda item 1.5, which addresses regulatory measures to limit unauthorized operations for NGSO Earth stations. The proposal discusses and addresses the deliberations currently being undertaken under this agenda item, and notes that the existing provisions of the radio regulations already provide a comprehensive and sufficient international framework for addressing unauthorized transmission. Additionally, the document indicates that some of the solutions identified or having been discussed under this agenda item cannot be uniformly applied to all NGSO systems and may have adverse consequences on the operation of critical services provided by the United States. Therefore, this document proposes no change for WRC 27 Agenda Item 1.5. I present this for your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Do we have any comments on document 41? Or can we approve that to go to the FCC as a consensus recommended proposal for the United States from this group? Okay, I see no comments, so we'll consider document 41 approved. And I will hand the floor back to George to guide us through the IWG-4 documents. Thank you.
Before we go to IWG-4, Anna, do you know if there are any questions that came in on fcclive.gov? All right, thank you.
So with that, IWG-4 Chair Damon Latson. While you're getting up to the podium, I have to say this position, this elevation brings me a lot of joy, but I am actually very upset that I don't get to be vice chair for IWG-4 with Damon. I really have appreciated your wisdom, the good humor, and all the other things that we've battled through this cycle with the various agenda items and documents, and so I treasure that and look forward to working with you in this new capacity. So please.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, George, and congratulations to you and Kim in your appointment. So George was my IWG-4 vice chair, and they only told me about his promotion yesterday because they probably figured I'd quit myself without George's help. So thank you very much for all your help, George. So for IWG-4, we deal with MSS and the Space Science Services. We had 4 meetings. We considered 6 proposals and 1 preliminary view. And of those, we have we have 3 consensus documents and 4 non-consensus documents. So with that, you want to bring up our first document, which is, let me see here, is 39R1. Okay, so 39R1, agenda item 1.11, and this deals with MSS space-to-space links in portions of the L-band. You can see the frequencies under the agenda item there. And what this proposal does, it proposes a space-to-space direction indicator in those bands, as well as a resolution that would govern how space-to-space links are used. So generally, this is for like small sats to a host satellite system. And we did receive consensus on this document. So with that, I turn it to the group for consideration.
Thank you, Damon. So just one clarification. This document is document 42 for WAC purposes. And so I think you had the numbers from IWG-4, so that's good. I can just clarify for the record here. And so with that, are there any comments for this particular proposal? Seeing a few here.
One came in through live questions.
I'll read the live questions. We received a question yesterday. It's a pretty detailed question, so I'll read it off. It's on behalf of the Aerospace and Flight Test Radio Coordinating Council. The question regarding the draft proposal for Agenda Item 1.11 is submitted on behalf of the Aerospace and Flight Test Radio Coordinating Council, Incorporated, concerning possible space-to-space, space-to-Earth links in the 1518 to 1544 megahertz, which overlaps in the 1518 to 1525 megahertz with the critical incumbent aeronautical mobile telemetry in the 1435 to 1525 megahertz band. The band is heavily used in the U.S. by non-federal and federal flight test operators. The draft proposal recommends that incumbent services are to be protected from any new space-to-space links made available under the resolutions adopted under Agenda Item 1.11. The draft proposal states, in parentheses, the ITUR has conducted extensive sharing and compatibility studies to assess the feasibility of introducing satellite-to-satellite links in many of the frequency bands called out in Resolution 249, Revision WRC 23, in parentheses, or in quotations. AFTRAC notes that no service provider system characteristics for NGSO systems in the 1518 to 1544 megahertz band have been contributed to the Working Party 4C process to allow for the compatibility studies with potentially affected incumbent services in the 1518 to 1544 megahertz bands, parentheses, but only characteristics for GSO service provider systems. See document 4C 528, Annex 3, Sections 3.1 and 3.2, working document regarding WRC Agenda Item 1.11. Therefore, there are no studies called for by Resolution 249 showing that the PFD mask in Table 21-4 of the I2R radio regulations, which was adopted in the context of GSO systems to protect AMT, would also protect AMT if applicable to NGSO service provider system constellations with very different orbital characteristics. Given the absence of such NGSO studies in the 1518 to 1544 megahertz band, wouldn't it be appropriate for the proposal for the use of satellite-to-satellite links to be recognized in the radio regulations with the mobile satellite service in the frequency band 1518-1544 megahertz for space-to-Earth transmissions be limited to GSO service provider space stations? AFTRAC also notes the following language in the draft proposal, which suggests that the proposal is to limit the following bands to space-to-space links between GSO service providers and NGSO users. Add USA, I guess they reference footnote 5811. If AFTRAC's understanding regarding the above is correct, wouldn't it be appropriate to extend the proposed limitations to 1518 to 1544 megahertz and the paired 1670 to 1675 megahertz as well, especially given the absence of system characteristics contributed to Working Party 4C studies in this band for NGSO service provider stations? Thank you. I understand that it's a pretty detailed proposal.
If I can respond, or maybe let Scott go first. I know he's interested in this stuff, if that's okay, good.
Scott Kotler with Lockheed Martin. Yeah, and thank you for reading the question. My understanding, the question really relates to whether the footnote can be, as worded right now, can be modified to just simply extend the. Right now, it's with regard to the host being limited to geostationary satellites. It only includes, in terms of this portion of the band, 1525 to 1544. Question is, can that same restriction be extended to 1518 to 1525? So it'd be 1518 to 1544, meaning that the host or the service provider satellite would be limited geostationary. And I think that's really what the question is about. Thank you.
In my desire to get through security quickly, I don't have my notes or the full proposal with me. But if this is also going on in Working Party 4C, and if I recall correctly, and again, I don't have the proposal right here, but in 4C this came up as well. We had put in language to allow flexibility throughout all of the bands, including the bands that the resolution had limited to GSO satellites. That was brought to our attention, and at least in 4C, we decided to retain the limitation to GSO that's in the resolution. I guess for the minutes, just note that the proponent of that particular part of the proposal is not here, but from what we've done in Working Party 4C, it would seem that we would want to be consistent with that. So if the limitation in the resolution is to 249, at least from my perspective, but I don't make this decision, it would probably make sense to keep that limitation consistent with the resolution. Thank you.
And thank you, Damon. Yeah, I think the clarification is no concern about the limitation, but to apply that same limitation to 1518 to 1525 megahertz. That's the second part of the proposed footnote. That, as I understand, is the request. Thanks.
Okay, so That's recorded in the minutes. I don't think it's my decision right here, but okay, thank you very much for that, Scott.
Yeah, just as a procedural matter, I don't believe AFTRAC is on the WAC, and so we will have to record that in the minutes, but I'm guessing you, as Lockheed Martin, are preserving that. Okay. So with that, we'll record in the minutes, and we'll push this document forward for a public notice comment period and invite AFTRAC, Lockheed, and others to elaborate on this point there. I think someone's hand might have gone up over here. No? Okay. So with that, we can move to the next agenda item, document 43. All right. Actually, one thing I want to flag is for agenda item 1.11, you'll recall that NTIA does have a proposal drafted, and it's with the FCC now, and so that's document 48. So make sure you look at that and ensure that we can reconcile these for a strong U.S. proposal at CTEL. And so with that, now I'll move to agenda item 1.13, which is document 43.
Okay, thank you, George. So document 43, as George said, deals with agenda item 1.13, and the issue is direct connectivity and IMT bands between terrestrial services and MSS. This is our one preliminary proposal we considered. I think we were about 4 words from consensus. However, we weren't able to achieve that consensus, and the document goes forward as a non-consensus document. And the issue, I don't think we have views printed on our documents, but the issue was whether you limit the secondary, in the preliminary view, we limit MSS to secondary with respect to IMT, but not other services. So there were about 4 words that dealt with that. That wasn't resolved, so you have the document now as non-consensus. Thank you.
So as you've heard, this has non-consensus, 2 different views regarding essentially 4 words or 5 words. Are there any comments, other feedback? We have one hand over here, please.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to you and Ms. Baum on the chairmanship, and thank you to Mr. Ladson for chairing this group. I just want to bring up AST Space Mobile is a provider of supplement, well, will be when we get our FCC authorization of commercial supplementary coverage by space, and we really do think as the U.S. is a leader on SES that it's critical that as soon as possible the U.S. go in with at least a preliminary view to CTEL to lead this effort. So we're hoping that this will be resolved quickly. Thank you very much.
Yep. And thank you for the the information about the non-consensus. Lockheed Martin does not support limiting it only to secondary and IMT. We support the way the document is written and secondary in general. Thank you.
Are there any hands online? Okay. So with that, those comments are noted in the minutes, and we will advance this document for the public notice period. So with that, we can move to agenda item 1.14 and the preliminary proposal for, I think it's 2 gigahertz MSS. It says document 44.
Okay, thank you again, George. So as George said, this is agenda item 1.14, and it addresses additional MSS allocations in the 2 gigahertz spectrum you see up on the screen. Again, this is non-consensus. We had one proposal come in for no change. I believe it was to the Region 2 portion of the spectrum. That was not agreed as a consensus proposal to go forward. So I present you our non-consensus document. Thank you.
Thank you. See a hand shot up. Go ahead, Fernando.
Yes, thank you. This is Fernando Carrillo, alternate WAC member for EchoStar Corporation. So when this document was presented during the work of the working group, we submitted written comments and opposing this contribution. I'm not going to go through all of the arguments that we included in that response, but one of the most important is that we believe this is too early to go for a no change, a full no change for the agenda item. Working Party 4C is currently still working on this agenda item, and actually the draft CPM text, it doesn't consider a full no change like this proposal. It's basically the CPM text divided the study in the three different bands that conform this agenda item, and it has independent methods for each of the agenda items. So a full no change, we believe it's radical and probably too early. The second and also important issue is that the original intention of this agenda item was to harmonize spectrum, which is already allocated for MSS in Region 1, in Region 2, namely 2010-2025 paired with 2160 to 2170 megahertz, try to harmonize in regions 1 and 3. These are two of the three bands in the agenda item. So we believe that the US should support such harmonization. Thank you.
All right, thank you again. This is Mike from CTIA. Apologies to Dante getting all the steps in with the microphone. As the chair of IWG-3 pointed out, this proposal is only dealing with the Region 2 consideration under Agenda Item 1.14. The 2 gigahertz band is a foundational workhorse spectrum band for America's 4G and 5G networks. It's extensively used by every nationwide mobile provider and provides and it remains critical to maintaining reliable service to millions of consumers. Most of you that are on your phone right now, like Jane next to me, is probably using the 2 gigahertz band. Technical studies conducted at the ITU's WRC 19 conference, as well as throughout this WRC cycle, consistently demonstrate that there are significant coexistence challenges between IMT and a co-primary mobile satellite service allocation in this band. So CTIA looks forward to continuing to work with the FCC to examine innovative developments in this band, including emerging satellite to mobile use cases, as those are also being considered under WRC Agenda Item 1.13. Given the band's critical role to U.S. mobile networks and the technical record developed internationally, we respectfully urge the Commission and the United States to align with the growing international consensus around a no change outcome of this agenda item. Thanks.
No comments online. So with that, we will record those comments and advance this non-consensus document for the public's consideration. So the moment you've all been waiting for, Agenda Item 1.15, Lunar. We have document 45, and I will give you the honor of introducing it.
Thank you again, George. So 1.15 deals with lunar communications and a possible space research service allocation for communications on the moon. I believe we had 2 competing proposals. I know that the proponents of each did work very hard to try to come to consensus. We weren't quite able to achieve that. I don't think in the document, it's not posted, but I don't think the views are reflected there. But we were not able to achieve consensus, so we give you the non-consensus document, and perhaps the proponents may want to speak. Thank you.
Yep, just to elaborate, there were 2 competing proposals, and the one draft was tabled for further consideration during our next WAC cycle. And then the other document that you see in front of us, document 45, was advanced, but it is non-consensus. And so if anyone has any comments, please feel free to take the floor now.
Thanks, Dante. First, I'd like to thank Lockheed Martin, who championed the proposal that's before the WAC, and its federal partners for the constructive and ongoing dialogue in advancing U.S. leadership, not only here on Earth, but also in the lunar environment as well. The agenda item represents the first of its kind effort to establish an international regulatory framework to enable safe, reliable radio communications on and around the moon. Done correctly, it'll create the foundation for space-hardened terrestrial technologies to support new users operating in an entirely new domain. As the work moves forward, it's critical that the framework be carefully structured to support lunar innovation without disrupting the existing spectrum management regime that underpins essential services here on Earth and around Earth. Protecting terrestrial operations while enabling responsible expansion into new environments must remain a guiding principle. We look forward to continuing the work with all stakeholders ahead of the next advisory committee, helping to develop a comprehensive proposal, one that addresses the full range of technical and policy considerations, including the overlap of the 7 and 8 gigahertz band, which was addressed earlier in the IWG-2 discussions. Thanks.
Thank you. Dante, we have one more hand over here.
Scott Kotler, Lockheed Martin again, and thank you to CTIA for those comments. What I would like to point out that in developing this proposal, we considered the characteristics that were developed in Working Party 7B, the significant margin that was determined in the sharing studies that are ongoing in Working Party 7B, and then in order to satisfy the objectives of the agenda item and Resolution 680, we developed the proposal. So we do believe it is fully consistent with what was adopted and under consideration. I would also note, as George will probably indicate, that there is a proposal from the federal agencies. I do believe this proposal can be reconciled relatively easily with that proposal, and we really would hope a proposal would go forth to the upcoming CTEL meeting on this agenda item and show U.S. leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one comment online, so Astrolab, if you could proceed.
Hi, thank you. Shayna Gerston from Astrolab here. Astrolab would like to voice support for NASA's proposal for the first iterative phase of lunar allocations. Astrolab is a lunar surface mobility company, with our first rover launching later this year called FLIP, and our larger Flex rovers launching every year thereafter. We're also a competitor for NASA's Lunar Terrain Vehicle contract, and as one of the primary lunar surface companies in the U.S., we understand what research and tech development needs to happen on the lunar surface in the near term. Any U.S. proposal must align with U.S. policy and enable lunar surface operators like Astrolab to achieve the administration's stated goals of boots on the moon in 2028 and initial surface infrastructure by 2030. Before the next WRC in 2031, we need to be deploying multiple research missions to test and deploy architectures on the lunar surface like Wi-Fi and 3GPP, and having established allocations will decrease our operational risk for these near-term mission requirements. We cannot delay this decision to WRC 31. Industry moves too quickly for us to not have the protections we need for our development years. NASA's proposal provides the protections needed for these research missions planned between now and 2031. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Astrolab. Just note that we'll record those comments and support for document 48, which included the NTIA proposal for 1.15. So with that, are there any other comments for document 45, agenda item 1.15? Seeing none, we will advance that document as non-consensus and welcome your feedback on the two proposals that are in front of us before NTIA and now the FCC. So with that, agenda item 1.16, document 46.
So agenda item 1.16 deals with the protection of 2 radio quiet zones in South Africa and Alma, Chile, as well as examining aggregate interference from NGSO, FSS, and MSS into the radio astronomy service. The proposal before the advisory committee is for no change. The United States notes that there are already extensive national provisions that provide protection for not only those two radio quiet zones, but for example, our own radio quiet zones. And also that anything that comes out of this conference or the working parties that deals with aggregate interference from NGSO does not result in new radio regulations or constraints in NGSO. So the thrust of the proposal is no change, and then a suppressant of the resolution that goes with the agenda item. So with that, I give you the document. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon. After the string of non-consensus documents, we do have a consensus document here. Any comments? Okay. Sounds good. We will advance that as consensus, and we'll move to the final IWG-4 document for agenda item 1.19, document 47.
Okay, thank you, George. And so finally, agenda item 119 deals with EESS, and the proposal here is for no change, and I believe this was a consensus document. So I give you the document for consideration. Thank you.
Very good. 2 in a row. So any comments for this document? Seeing none, we can advance that document as consensus and welcome your feedback. Is there anything else you would like to cover, Mr. Chair?
I think that's it. Well, let me just say, for those of you who are looking in anticipation of attending the next IWG-4 meetings, we also have agenda item 1.12 that deals with low data rate MSS. We don't have a proposal at this time. And we also deal with agenda items 117, 118. Then, of course, what's going to become more and more important, I think, as we go on is agenda item 10, which deals with future agenda items. To date, we have not received any proposals, but with those, it's always sooner, better than later if you're thinking of an agenda item for WRC 31. So with that, once again, thank you, George, and congratulations, George and Kim. And thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Damon. And I can tell you I am actively searching for a vice chair. So I think I might be close, and hopefully can report that to you next week.
Give me one as good as you were, okay, please.
You're too kind. Thank you. So, almost at the end of our agenda here. Future meetings. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, so we'll be looking at scheduling the next round of IWG meetings here, probably just before CTEL or after CTEL. Just to give everyone a heads up, we have an early CTEL meeting this year. It's in April. The next CTEL meeting will be in December, I believe in Bogota. I would like all, at least, agenda items probably to, if we can try to finalize after the next block of meetings, our proposals. So over summer, I expect we'll be working diligently to finish off any proposals. Now, I know agenda item 7 issues will also start getting a lot of attention. At that stage, we don't know until this upcoming 4A meeting what the agenda item 7 issues are. But I would expect a lot of work over the summer, early spring, beginning of fall to finish off all our U.S. proposals, and then submitting, let's say, the initial agenda item 10 proposals, noting that you'll still have time at future meetings, but I think we need to start considering over the summer, just given the timeline, future agenda item proposals. So just for everyone's awareness also, the way WRC is lined up, I believe it starts in October. That means we have the delegation meeting, or the U.S. delegation to WRC usually forms within 6 months. So you're looking at next year, March, April timeframe. So once we begin delegation proceedings, we end the WAC. So it's best to get everything early as possible, let's say, for future agenda items. So that's all I have. I'll hand the floor back to you, George.
Thank you, Greg. 2 things I want to add. The first is it's not just the future agenda items. Agenda item 10, there's 2, 4, 8. Kind of lead them to the last minute most cycles. And if we are listening to what the chair is saying, right, and operating consistent with the delete, delete, delete mindset, we really should be taking a closer look at those agenda items and how could we be more effective and efficient with the radio regs in general. So I have a few ideas percolating in my own mind about how we might revamp the process a bit to make sure that all of this is considered in a timely manner and we do reach proposals, as Greg said, early. Second thing is we receive a lot of questions regarding the WAC and the IWGs. So everything is so nicely put on the website. If you just Google FCC WRC 27, Greg, Al, and others maintain it. It has everything from how you can subscribe to the different listservs, how you can find the different documents, status of different documents have been sent to CTEL, and so that would reduce the amount of inbound email that all of us are getting in trying to address those items. So please look at the agenda, save that in your mind, and reference it if possible. So last agenda item here, if there are no questions or comments, go ahead, there's one, Danielle.
Thank you. I probably should have raised this earlier when I introduced myself, but in addition to representing Planet Labs as an alternate on the WAC, I'm also a board member for SIA and for the Commercial Smallsat Spectrum Management Association. So should any conflicts arise, we'll address that with FCC Ethics Council appropriately. I don't know if others have been instructed to make similar disclaimers, but since it's the first WAC meeting, I thought we should take a moment. Thanks.
So, thank you. That was a great transition to the final item on the agenda, which is disclosures that the Ethics Office or GC's office has requested, and I think a number of you do have to make them. So, Dante, do your thing.
Hello, everyone. Brendan Price, Eutelsat. This is the once every 2-year time when I have to discuss my ham radio license. Beyond my employment with Eutelsat, I am individually the holder of 2 FCC licenses, the amateur service and the general mobile radio service. I am also the holder of a marine radio operator permit. There is overlap in the frequencies authorized by my amateur license and WRC 27 Agenda Item 1.15. There are also 2 items on the preliminary agenda for WRC 31 that could add or affect amateur service allocations. There are no other such items on either agenda that impact my amateur license or either of my other FCC authorizations. Eutelsat, my employer, does not have an interest in any of the frequency bands that would be affected. And I would note that issues specific to amateur licensees are already well and effectively represented on this committee through Jonathan Seiberling at ARRL. My individual membership at ARRL gives me no standing to influence ARRL's advocacy on the WAC or in other forums. At the request of the FCC's Ethics Council, I've been asked to disclose the above. I've just done so. Thank you.
Yes, Andrew Roy of Aviation Spectrum Resources. On advice of FCC Ethics Council, I've been asked to disclose that I am the chair of the ICAO Frequency Spectrum Management Panel. It is not a paid or direct employee role for ICAO. I do operate on a volunteer basis, but given it is chairing an international organizations group that provides spectrum guidance, advice, and opinions, I've asked to disclose it here. Thank you. And again, I don't think I'm disclosing this every single meeting, so appreciate it.
Okay, and I'm Kim Baum, as you know, here representing Astranis. The FCC Ethics Council has asked me to disclose that my husband is employed by SES Americom Incorporated. He does not work in an advocacy role for the company, and as you know, SES is very well represented by Giselle and her colleagues. But I'm making my disclosure as requested. And I am disappointed that others with spouses in the industry are not required to make similar disclosures. But here I am.
Hi, Dan Manser representing Apple. In addition to my Apple representation, I also serve on the board of the Dynamic Spectrum Alliance. I do not receive any compensation for that, and the positions that I'll be representing in this body are solely those of my employer. In addition to the interests in the company that I represent, I also have individual stock holdings above the reporting threshold in Microsoft Corporation. Thank you.
Jane Stankiewicz with Intel Corporation. My partner works for Microsoft and has stock holdings in the excess of whatever the threshold is. I don't think they're on the WAC, but I have much more equity in Intel, and I will only represent Intel's interests.
Hi, Mike Lewis of DLA Piper. I am here as the primary member for Motorola Solutions. The firm has other clients that are part of the WAC committee. I am here to solely represent the views of Motorola Solutions. My wife also works for a member of the WAC. She is not involved in international allocations or spectrum issues in any event. That's T-Mobile. And if any conflict does arise, I will notify the members.
Hi, Jason Kim from Umbra. I have unpaid affiliations with the Aerospace Industries Association, where I'm chair of the Commercial Space Committee. And I'm an advisor to the Resilient Navigation and Timing Foundation, as well as to the Space Finance Company.
We have two more online, and then we're done. Rob, if you want to go ahead.
Yes, hi there. Rob Aldifer, representing Charter Communications. Been asked to disclose that I also serve on the board of the OnGo Alliance, which is the industry organization for deployment of shared spectrum. That's an unpaid position. Thank you.
Chris, I believe Broadcom. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm here representing the interest of Broadcom Inc. and solely Broadcom's interests, but I do serve as chairman of the board of the Dynamic Spectrum Alliance and vice chairman of the board of the Wi-Fi Alliance, both of which are nonprofit and unpaid positions. And I have been asked by the FCC Office of Ethics to disclose that I have above the reporting threshold stock in Apple. Thank you.
Any others? Okay. Seeing no hands in the room. Kim, I don't know if you have anything to add before I adjourn the meeting. Nothing? Okay. I don't know how many people are watching the Winter Olympics right now. I know you're all busy, but if you peek at the medal standing, the U.S. is in third, both in gold medals and total medals, and I would like to improve that for our own WRC, and I mean that sincerely. Like, I really want to help from a totally broad industry perspective. I have some ideas on how to reform some of the processes that we've seen in the IWGs and the WAC and try to take a more involved role. And so I've reached out to a few of you already on getting your perspective on how things are currently run and how we might improve it. And I welcome everyone here online. Please contact me, Kim, anyone else, and relay it to me. But I think it's very important that we're on top of this and make sure that we have the right mechanics in place to ensure that we get all the proposals for Greg so he doesn't cut me off next year. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.